Thank you for calling in, brother.
Absolutely.
If right before we tape, what we usually do is have our guests set like their marker. So if it would be okay with you, can you say, "Hi, I'm Shaw Grigsby, and you're watching the Real Deal Fishing Show"?
Okay.
Okay.
Watching.
The Real Deal Fishing Show.
Okay.
Okay. Are we recording? Okay, Shaw, you can say it right now.
Hi, I'm Shaw Grigsby, and you're watching the Real Deal Fishing Show.
Perfect. Just give us 1 minute, and we'll go live with you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. Ready? We're recording on here. We're recording here. Okay. Okay, and we're on.
Okay, good morning, Shaw. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Hi, this is Bill Peraino. I'm Richie's partner in our endeavor here. And I really want to thank you for joining us this morning on our humble little show that we've started. It's a great honor to have you. Thank you.
Well, pleasure to be here.
Yeah, Shaw, and it's all because of you that I'm doing actually what I'm doing, because as a kid I used to watch your show, and I started to bring my video camera fishing with me, and I would shoot little segments with my friends, and here I am, 12, 13 years later, and we have a show on cable here in Jersey, and we're now doing a podcast. So I really want to thank you, and you're a hero of mine in the sport.
Well, I don't know that I deserve that, but I appreciate it.
Thank you, Shaw.
Shaw, since life is not all about fishing, I read a post of yours on Facebook that you were taking your grandson. You sound very, very happy about that to Disney World. How'd that go?
That was awesome.
Uh-huh.
That was his first trip. You kind of got to let him get a little older. He's 5 now, but he had a great time. There were some things that were still, too much for him.
Right.
And some of the dark tunnels and the scary stuff was a little much. He didn't really care for those, but there's a lot of stuff for them to do down there, and so it was awesome. It was awesome to watch him just really get excited about things and enjoy the deals, and it was just fun. So that was a fun couple days.
Oh, excellent. That's great.
Okay, and now we see that you have a tournament that's coming up at Oneida Lake. Now, how do you get ready for that, Shaw?
Well, we've been off for about a little over a month, about a month and a half that we haven't had a tournament. And so I've been kind of, lax and taking care of my stuff, and I've only fished a couple times in that month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the times I've been with family. We went scalloping a few times, and I went saltwater fishing a couple times,
Right.
and bass fishing like once. And so, it's just getting everything back in order. I've got a lot of new baits from the ICAST show. We went to the big fish and tackle show in July.
Yeah.
And so trying to figure out where to put those in the boat and the truck, and your boat's pretty much packed, and so you get a bunch of new, awesome, cool stuff. You're going, where do I put this? So, I've been in there for the last couple days, just digging through stuff, taking stuff out that I said, I really don't use this much, and I'll put this new stuff in here, and I just kind of basically finished up with the truck, and now I'm
Right.
working on the boat. So I'll be in my boat building, just digging in the boat pretty much the whole day, and then packing my clothes up and getting out of here first thing in the morning early.
Very cool.
Oh, nice. Shaw, I hear a lot of words that other fellow anglers use to describe you, and boy, among them, the most intelligent. He's a great guy, the nicest guy, eager guy, one of the best. I mean, how is that? I mean, to be described by your fellow anglers, to be described like that.
Well, I appreciate that. I know there were times, when you're younger, and I see this in the progression of angling, that when you're younger, you're really trying to make a mark, and
Mm-hmm.
you work really hard at it, and I read the other day, or a buddy told me the other day that Jay Yellis and another guy, young kid, apparently at the FLW championship, were fishing the same spot, and it's the only spot anytime any big bags had come
Okay.
at Lake Lanier. He said apparently the last day, Jay just told him the kid was ahead of him by about 7 pounds, and Jay just said, "I'm not going back."
Mm.
And Jay's made his mark. and when he was real young, he wouldn't have done that. But as you get older, you get a lot wiser. You go, I've done it, and this kid needs his shot, and he's done a very good job, and most likely it would be really hard for me to win anyway. So let's back off and give him a shot. And I think that's so honorable. And
Class.
you see that as you get older, that you get a little wiser. And I hope I've wised up over my younger days, and I just think that I appreciate the comment. Put it that way.
Sure. Another question that I have for you is what would you recommend an angler to do who wants to fish at like the pro level?
Well, there's a lot of things to do, but to start off with, the first thing is to get a good education, and I look back on probably the one that I look at most often is Denny Brower and Chad Brower. And Denny, who ultimate respect for Denny Brower, he was our #1 leading money winner until Kevin finally passed him and then blew everybody away.
Yeah.
But Denny, for so many years, was the man. He was the all-time leading money winner and just was the greatest angler out there. And he told his son, he said, I'll help anyone I can, but first off, you're going to get your degree and, go to college and get a degree, and then you're ready. Then no matter what happens on the fishing circuit, you can always fall back on that degree and have a job and do well. And I thought it was awesome they did that. He would guide all through the summer. So when he got off for summer from college, he would guide all summer long. And then so he kept fishing all the time. He kept his skills up. He learned. And guiding every day teaches you a lot more than what we do, or more of what we do as anglers, because you've got to keep up with the fish. The guiding, you may go back to the same spot and go, oh my gosh, I'm not catching them here. What happened? And since you're there every day, rain or shine, it really teaches you so much about fishing. So what a great way to learn. And then he went ahead and got his degree and went out there and fished professionally on the BASS circuit, won one or two, and fished on FLW and won one or two. So, I mean, he's a really super young man, and I just think that's the best way to do it. Go to school, get a good education, take some courses in marketing, take some courses in advertising.
Right.
And the reason for that is in business, because you're going to run your own business. That's basically what a professional angler does, run his own business. So, and if you know about marketing and advertising, those things will help you with sponsors, and then always, keep up your fishing. And you can always take courses in, fish biology and all kinds of things like that also to help you out.
Very cool.
So, that was like one of my next questions as far as, the sponsorship thing. People think, you get on the water, you have a good day on the water, you fish your tournaments or what have you, and that's it until the next tournament. But it's a whole other business behind professional bass fishing when it comes to the sponsors. You have obligations. It used to be in the past, what could the sponsors do for me? But now it seems like, what can you do for your sponsor?
Yeah, I've had that opinion, and that's a great quote, because I've had that exact quote ever since I started. So many people said, they come in and try to solicit sponsors, and it was all about what, the sponsor could do for them. And I've always had that opinion. In fact, quite a few of my sponsors in the early years, I would get paid nothing. I would just say, listen, I love your product. Let me show you what I can do. And I'd go out there and do it. Next thing that you know, they go, man, this guy's really hustling for us and getting us a lot of press, getting faith in tackle stores and winning tournaments. And they'd go, heck, we're going to pay him next year, and then it'd work into a long-time relationship. And so I've always said that, is to work for your sponsor first. And because that's what we are. We're basically salesmen. With the current Elite Series, the way it is with the entry fees and the money, pretty much, you can make some money, but really what it comes down to is the cost of doing business for sponsorship. So, you get so much press. They have a huge press pool with, the shows on ESPN and the shows on Outdoor Channel, and all the magazines and the internet and everything that they have. So you have a huge media pool that goes along with BASF, and that allows you to keep your name out there and develop value for your sponsors. The actual tournament circuit, doesn't pay you quite as well, but it does give you the biggest avenue to make money.
Right.
Well, I know from watching your show and from reading your books and actually watching you at bass fishing shows talk, you are the man when it comes to sight fishing, Shaw. So, what can you tell us to actually be a better sight fisherman?
Well, the first thing to know is, you got to have a really good pair of sunglasses, and you got to have some decent eyesight. I mean, you have to be gifted with that. Fortunately for me, I had very good eyesight all through my younger years. It's obviously, I'm 56 years old, so it's waning a bit, and I'm very mortal with the eyesight. But I got a new pair of sunglasses that I've been testing and playing with. It's a new S11s from Strike King, and I don't think there's a better pair of sunglasses that I've ever worn in my life. And so when you're looking through those things, and it's the amber, they have two different lens colors. One's a gray and one's kind of an amber-looking, yellowish orange, I guess would be the color. And that's the one I'm wearing, is that orangish-looking one. That dude is, I've just never had a pair of glasses I can see as well with. And so picking out details is really important. So number one, you got to be able to see them. Number two, you got to kind of learn, what to look for. Because a lot of times you don't see the whole fish. You may see a fin movement, may see a shadow, just movement in the water that'll tell you there's a fish. And then your window of opportunity is pretty small. You don't want to spook them or run them off or anything. So, you want to be real stealthy with your approach, then make your cast kind of stealthy. And then the last and final thing is usually fishing it pretty doggone slow. I mean, to where you're like a little crawfish that's laying on the bottom and nobody's seen him, and then all of a sudden he jiggles a little bit, or something, or wiggles a little bit, but not really moving or scooting across the bottom. That's not usually the thing that gets them going. It's that little small subtle movements and real slow movements. And so, sight fishing is something I've spent a long time doing. I love it because it kind of combines hunting and fishing. You're hunting for them, looking for them, and then when you see them, it's kind of spot and stalk. You see them, then you got to get after them. And the window of opportunity is pretty small to make that perfect cast, get it in front of them, and then make them think that it's real. It's the ultimate in finesse, because you've got to make them believe that bait is totally, live bait, and or give them, at least make them inquisitive enough to go over there and pick it up.
Right.
Now, obviously, like Richie had said, you would describe sight fishing as your strong point. What is your weak point, Shaw? Is it deep water?
I'd have to say, if I chose one thing that I always worry about, and I'm okay at it, but I'm not on the level of the Paul Elias and the guys that get out there and do that ledge fishing and idling around and all that. Now I can read my electronics. I don't have an issue with that. Those Lowrances are just incredible. But on a personal note, just like I look and I look and I look, and I'll find a group, I find something, and the structure scan now makes it a lot easier to be able to find those things. But you'll find them and you'll catch a fish, and maybe you won't catch a fish. It's like when you get out on that structure, it's not only that the fish are there, but it's that the timing's there. So you could hit it 3 times during the day, and maybe on the 4th time you come back and you're loaded and you crush them.
Right.
And I've never understood that, and I've never been able to really figure it out. Also, it's one of those things where you'll spend all day idling, graphing, fishing, and if you find one spot in a day you did really good, maybe 2, and that's hard for me to take, saying, okay, I've got one spot, and I spent all day doing it. Now at Toledo Bend, I made a good check, top 20 or whatever at Toledo, and ledge fishing, all of it, and I fished one spot. So, you find that one spot, and there you got yourself a good check, and held on, and, keep yourself in position for the Classic. And so, you've got to get mentally right on that deep water structure stuff.
As an angler from Jersey, I watch the fishing shows, and they're always in like these places in the South or out west. I actually had a question for you. Have you ever fished in Jersey or any of the states that are around us, like Pennsylvania or?
Yes, I have. I actually did a little tour up there years ago, filming a TV show for another guy, and we fished. I believe we fished in Jersey, but we fished Wallen-Pawpack, which is I think right there in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we fished, but we fished one or two lakes in Jersey because I had a friend of mine that lived in Jersey, and he came over, and I'm trying to remember the names of it. But it's a fairly well-known place because y'all don't have a whole lot of places to fish.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe it was like a Pac-On.
That's it.
Yeah.
Bad con. I fished a bad con.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine that lived there, he came over and as we were filming and all. So anyway, but yeah, we fished that. So I made a little stretch, run all the way up and fished all the way through the Hudson and just filming a show. I'm trying to remember what the name of the show was because this was way back when, before I had my TV show.
Oh, okay.
Sportsman's Challenge. That's what it was called.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
I remember that show.
Yeah, and we used to, and what they do is most of the shows I would have a local angler come and we'd fish together. So I mean, it'd be like a regular, everyday angler, and one of them was a young kid up in New York. So it was a fun show to go film. We hit the road one day and didn't get back for like a month, just filming. So it was kind of neat.
Very cool.
So have you hit? How do you like Champlain?
Love it, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just tell you, if you're looking at the best places to fish in the nation, first thing you do is I'd have to say anything in the Northeast is superb, and really anything in the North. And two reasons for that. One thing is that especially back in the old days, most people fished for walleyes, they fished for northern, they fished for muskie. They didn't mess with the bass much. So the bass were just like, just stupid and fun, and they have such a small window of opportunity there. You're iced over or whatever.
Sure.
And when that ice out hits and then all the way through till it hits again to ice up, it's just like some of the best fishing you can ever have. They're very aggressive and extremely fun. Of course, smallmouth, are just, like a largemouth that drank way too many cups of coffee. And so when you have that situation, I just love getting up there. I mean, I really love it. I get excited about going to any of the lakes, especially the Great Lakes. But, Champlain is one of those that's just excellent fishery.
Then there's Thousand Islands too. I know that from your book, Bassmaster Shaw Grigsby Notes on Fishing and Life. There's a whole story about the Thousand Islands in there.
Yeah, we used to go there almost every year, and so that was a real fun time for me. In fact, I think it was just the last time we were at Oneida, maybe 2 years ago. I just turned around and said, "Hey guys, I'm going to film while I'm up here at Oneida. Let's go film Thousand Islands." And I got to go back because I haven't been there in so many years, and it's gotten so good. It's incredible. I mean, it's just that everything up there is just getting to be better fishing and better water quality, and a lot better than back in the 70s, late 70s and 80s. Now it's really good.
Now, just getting back real quick to the fishing deep water. I was watching yesterday. I think it was Roland Martin and Scott Martin, and they were on Champlain, and the commentator was saying that Roland is dialed in now. He found the spot on the spot, which it's pretty. I guess as an angler, I mean, to find the spot on the spot, that's figuring it out a little.
Yeah, the guy that's I don't know, probably one of the best anglers that ever been is a guy named Bill Seaman-Fell. And he's from out in California. He's a big bass expert. He designed the BBC for Spro. He's just one of these super intelligent, incredible anglers. And if you Google him or look him up, and he'll be glad to come on your show and do a talk. Probably the most intelligent angler that I've ever been around. And he's the one that basically started that spot on spot, to where you figure out a spot, but then there's something special about this little detail that you learn, and it just changes everything. And so that's pretty pretty much the deal. You know, they'll, on any given point or any given place that you go, here, this is, you know, I'm going to catch them here.
Okay.
There's something special there that they like, something, you know, really special. And that's what you locate. When you locate that, you just slam them. And Bill's the best I've ever seen at it. And he's probably, you know, one of the best structure and analytical anglers I've ever been around. Now, he wrote a book, and that is part of the chapter. The Spot on Spot deal is part of his book. And I highly recommend, if you all want to have some fun, is look it up. And I apologize. I actually have the book here somewhere, but I apologize that I cannot recall right off the top of my head the name of it. But it's Bill Siementhal, and he's from California, and he's just an incredible angler.
Cool. If you could bring only one, if somebody sat on the shoreline and said, sure, you could only bring one lure out there with you when you go fishing, what lure would that be?
Wow. I mean, you know, there's so many really good ones. You know, one of the ones I made so much money on this year, that 1.5 from Strike King, the KVD, Bay, Van Dam 1.5. And that, to me, has just worked so many different places. A jig, you know, to me, that hack attack heavy cover swim jig is probably as good as it gets. I mean, it's got a heavy hook, and I can swim it, and I can pitch it, and I can flip it, and I can do everything with it. And I can fish it out in deep ledges, and it doesn't require a whole lot of maintenance. So, you know, that's one that stays on my rod all the time.
Right.
I'd have to, and then, you know, of course, soft plastics and everything. I'd probably, you know, if somebody said you could only bring one.
Only one.
It'd probably be a jig.
Wow.
You know, that hack attack heavy cover swim jig.
Okay. I want to ask you about something here. I'm reading the article in Bassmaster Online. Shaw Grigsby redeemed on Harris Chain of Lakes. There's nothing missing from his stellar resume except the Classic Championship and Angler of the Year.
Yep. That's you know, that's sad that never have won either one of those. I had Angler of the Year wrapped up in I think it was 95 maybe. Yeah, 1995. Had it wrapped up. We had a point system, and I was way ahead. You know, 100-point system. I was 25 points ahead going into the final tournament, and still managed to blow it.
Wow.
So, you know, that's one of the real disappointments in my lifetime. And I've been, you know, second, third, fourth, and bunches of, you know, different times for Angler of the Year. And I've been second in the Classic, you know, so, you know, just sometimes things don't fall in place and you don't end up getting it. You know, I've had a great career, and I can't complain about a thing, and you know, I'm very religious in the sense that I know that God has a plan for me, and I know that He puts me where it is, and if it's time for me to win one, it's gonna, you know, I'm gonna win it, and if it's not, that's fine. If it's not meant for me, you know, everything that happens to you in life makes you who you are, and you get strengthened by it. And the biggest thing is to not let bad things drag you down, but let bad things make you stronger.
Right.
And so when things like that really hit you, and you realize, you know, hey, I've never won the Classic and all, it just makes me go at it a little bit harder every year. But I am totally okay where I'm at. You know, I think about one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever lived, Dan Marino.
Right.
And never won the Super Bowl.
That's right. Never. That is true.
And yet he's one of the greatest that ever lived. So,
and a great guy.
You know, and I'm not one of the greatest that ever lived by any means, but you know, I'm not chopped liver neither. I'm okay. You know, I've done what I've done. I've won. I've been very blessed to win the ones that I've won, and do what I've done in this sport and make a living for a very long time. And you know, when you make a living doing something you truly love to do, that's a great blessing. And so, you know, I've been very blessed and had a great time with it. And so, yeah, would I love to win it? You betcha. Am I trying hard every year? I try hard to get to the Classic, and then I pour everything into that Classic. I mean, I get there pre-fish, and I just try to think and analyze and figure out all the little details, and you never know. Sometimes you do good, and sometimes you do bad.
Now, when you get to a place and you do the pre-fishing, are you trying to hook set the fish, or do you just let them bite and then you let them go? Like,
Yeah, how's that work?
Actually, in the sense of pre-fishing, I might catch one or two, and I shake. If I'm in an area, I'll shake them off.
Okay.
So, just because you go, hey, this is working pretty good, so that's kind of the way I do it.
You shake them off.
I just kind of work through an area. Then you get to a point where when you get one bite in an area, you're willing to catch him. And when you start getting 2 or 3 or 4, you're shaking them off.
Okay.
You shake them off, and then you go, ooh, this is a pretty good area.
Yeah.
And shaking them off is an art in itself. A lot of people think that you give them line and, do whatever, and that's the wrong thing to do. They'll swallow your bait. So, most of the time, so when you're going to shake one off, you just tighten up on him. When he bites, you tighten up and kind of put some tension on him, and then they usually just spit it out, and then you reel it away from him. And so that's a tough one to learn, to get him to spit it out and not hook him. That's a big thing.
Sure, I want to ask you. I was looking at some of your stats as far as you like the Harris Chain of Lakes, don't you?
I've done very well there.
Right. Yeah.
And made some good money there, and I've done well in Texas. I've done well in Georgia. So there've been some different places. I've actually done some decent finishes up north in Thousand Islands too. But I truly like Florida fishing, and I actually, if you had to choose one, I'd probably prefer Coho anytime over Harris Chain.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Got to put that down on our map here to hit it. I wanted to ask you, this season I was flipping through the channels and I caught Major League Bass Fishing, and I saw that you were on that. I wanted to ask you, what is your take on that format?
That's the best ever.
Yeah.
I've never been in a situation where it's been more. Where you've just been more keyed up in trying to, catch fish. It's every fish counts. Every single one. So it's not like you get 5 and then you cull and you're going, okay, phew, I got 5, I'm good to go. Well, in this situation, if you could catch 50 or 100, all of them count. So every one of them. And you know what other anglers have. So it's like a golf match where, the guy comes up to the hole and he looks up there on the scoreboard and he goes, okay, I'm 2 strokes down, or I'm pulling in here at 18 and I'm 2 strokes down. I got to go straight for it, So you know what you're doing. You know exactly where you positioned. You know what you need to do to get in the cut. You know what you need to do to be first and get into the final round. And it's so intense. It's amazing. And so to me, I've never been in a more exciting fishing tournament ever. And
that's awesome.
So it's awesome. That's all I can say.
Awesome.
It's a complete chaos in fishing, and to be able to watch, and what happens is you're fishing along and you go, okay, I got this figured out, and all of a sudden somebody else starts whacking them, and you go, oh my gosh, it's Rojas, and he's crushing them, and you go, you're kidding me, they're biting on a frog, because you know what Rojas is probably doing.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So then it messes you up, and you're like, am I going to pick up that frog and go fishing, or am I going to, stick with what I'm figuring out and try to hold on? I mean, it just takes it to a whole nother level. So yeah, that's the best fishing event I've ever seen, and I really think it's the future of the sport, because it opens itself up to so many different variables, and it's so challenging. And it's fun, and it's fun to watch, because it's like watching a NASCAR race. In fact, in one of the rounds that I fished, Tommy Biffle led the whole round, right? And there's 8 of us out on the water, and you have to be in the top 4 to make the next round. Okay. Well, he's leading all the way through, and then right at the end of the deal, 4 other guys, it him off. I mean, next thing you know, he drops the second, then he drops the third, then he drops the fourth, then he doesn't even make the cut.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, that's just like watching Tony Stewart lead every lap on a NASCAR race, and all of a sudden at the end he blows the tire and he's out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're watching. Is like it's an incredible, exciting fishing event. So yeah, and you can get it. You can watch it on Outdoor Channel. And this year, the one that they're getting ready to film in a couple of weeks is actually going to air. The finals is going to air on NBC, not NBC Sports, but NBC.
I knew it would be on mainstream television fishing soon. That's what we've been waiting for, people to realize that it is a sport.
Well, I think this is the only format that probably lends itself to that and allows that allows sports people to look at it and go, "Oh my gosh," rather than you have to be a fisherman. You know what I mean?
Right.
You want that high octane to draw in those viewers, and it's very exciting to watch because it's intense right through as they cut to each boat and they show you what the anglers are doing. And
you got a ref on your boat, huh?
Yeah, it's fun. It's absolutely great. It's ref, and if you mess up,
and you get penalized.
So I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
Watch Ike and Ellie have to not make a cast. He's like, oh no.
Yeah, could you imagine that? Oh boy. I read it also, or I saw an interview with you, Shaw, and just like the everyday bass fishermen, the guys who follow you, watch you, and kind of put you up on a pedestal. I'm not saying you do, but you said you always wanted to fish with Larry Nixon. I'm not saying you're putting him on a pedestal or anything, but you said you always wanted to fish with Larry Nixon. Will that ever materialize?
Probably not. I mean,
that's too bad.
He was one of my idols in earlier years, and he was the number one angler, but he was also everybody. Back in the old days, we used to fish together. Get paired. So like I'd get paired with Rick Cludd, and I'd get paired with Paul Elias and Gary Klein, and all these great names in the sport.
Right.
And everybody that ever fished with Larry Nixon said he's just exactly what you said about me. He said he's the nicest guy, just the greatest guy to fish with, and then he's one of the best soft plastic guys in the world, which, of course, I love, sight fishing and just using soft plastics. And so that was one of the guys that I always said, that would be a guy that I would love to fish with sometime. And, it's never happened, and we're on different tours now and all that kind of stuff. So, who knows? It's probably not necessarily going to ever happen. And, if it doesn't, well, it was just something that I'd love to have done.
Well, I hope he's listening to this podcast.
Maybe he'll give you a call.
What I also wanted to say is in 2009, Bill and myself, we started the Real Deal Fishing Show, and it's now on cable in Jersey. And I wanted to ask you, as somebody who has been on the air for years, Shaw, can you give us a little bit of advice on like how to go about a fishing show
or keep it fresh and keep it moving forward?
That's true. That's a hard part because after you do it for a number of years, you're kind of like, okay, I've done this. Now, what do you do? And I just go have fun with it. I mean, to me, that's the biggest thing is to make it for the viewer, to make it fun, and I love fishing. I mean, when I get out there on my own, I get giggly and stupid, and I'm the same as I am on TV, and it's really cool. The other day, I went fishing with this guy, and I saw some bluegill beds, and so I said, "Anybody got a little bait for this?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got a beetle stem, but I got no rod." Well, I had a rod that would fit, and so